Strong Drummers. Today I'm talking to Mike Johnston of Mike'sLessons.com. Mike is an international educator. He has a business. He's an entrepreneur, very busy guy, and of course a professional drummer. Today we get into business, nutrition, protein, AI, practicing, really everything that you want to know from Mike, and we really dive in. Please enjoy today's episode. Mike Johnston, thank you so much for your time today, man. Welcome to the Drum Mechanics Podcast. How is your day going?
So far, really good. Got here super early this morning, tried to beat the sun. So I got here at 5:30 this morning to film a bass drum tuning lesson in my lobby. But I have to race during the summer against the sun because eventually my lobby fills up with like natural sunlight and then I can't film in there anymore. So I had from like 5:30 a.m. until about 6:30-ish to get this video done. And every time I would mess up, I felt like I was fighting the Lord of Light. I was like, oh man, I got to get this done.
So my gym's a 4,000 square foot gym, and it faces where the sun rises. It's all windows. And I tried to film a course there one day at 7 a.m. and I had everything perfect at 7 a.m. But 8:30, not good at all.
Game over. Yeah. You can't do second take. So I just had to like hit the bass drum, have it sound completely terrible and be like, isn't that amazing? All right, moving on. Let's keep going. But no, it was good, man. Got that all done. Taught a private lesson, and now I'm just getting ready to film a YouTube lesson after this. But more importantly, I get to talk to you, and we've never really had the chance to have a true back and forth, or at least a long form back and forth. So I'm excited.
No, and I mean, I think everyone knows, you had this incredible podcast with Mike Dawson for quite a long time. And so, although we haven't talked too much, but I feel like I've talked to you so much because I've heard so much of the way you think about things. And Mike Dawson's a good friend. He actually got me into Modern Drummer, was writing for the ergonomics stuff for a couple years.
Yeah.
I missed that podcast, man. I missed that podcast a lot.
So do we. And just so you know, like there was no falling out between me and Mike. The podcast honestly just kind of ran its course, and the magazine was taking a different direction. And it seemed like this is a natural time to end after 250 episodes. But I still talk to Mike all the time, and he's one of my favorite people in the entire industry. He's just incredible.
Amazing. Well, listen, Mike, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to pick your brain today about a couple things that perhaps maybe some other podcasters or interviewers haven't really talked to you about too much, because you are someone that is well established in the drumming community. You've put a lot of time in. You continue to grind and work hard. But one thing that I do know, even just from talking to you a little bit over the years, is you're also a very healthy person. You're very conscious about trying to be healthy. I know like you like particular types of tea and you cycle and things like that. And I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit more, how do you take care of yourself?
It's a great question, and I think it's so important and so not talked about because we have so many great examples in our world, definitely in our world, but in our industry, of people that don't do that stuff and still end up being amazing players. You know, like as soon as you talk about fitness being important to drumming, someone will point to an unfit person that's an amazing player. And that's a tough thing because I'm always trying to tell my students, you're missing the point here. This isn't just about, I don't go to the gym so I can be better on the drum set. I go to the gym so that I can have functional fitness that'll last me into my 90s and play the drums when I'm 90 years old without having chronic back pain, without having any kind of tendon issues and stuff. So I want to put stress on my bones, on my muscles, on my tendons so that I can do this for the rest of my life. I see fitness as like a gateway into freedom for the longevity of your life. And then I think nutrition kind of plays into that as well. We are way too like the amount of, I don't want to say advertising, but just as much, there's so much stuff coming at us that is fun to eat. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, of course I want to have some balance. We call it balanced, but then it's like, well, this is your 7th pizza of the week. Is that balance? Where is the balance? So, but I think we all have to kind of A/B lab test our own bodies and our own situations and find out like, okay, well, why don't you eat healthy for a while and but you got to stick with it for long enough to know, did it make any difference in your life? Did you maybe get up a little bit earlier each day, fall asleep a little bit faster each night? Those little things, I think I'm obsessed with forward momentum in my own life. And I do find that fitness and nutrition is a big gateway into that world. And it's very rare that I'm feeling down about myself and down about my career while eating great and exercising constantly. That's almost never happened. But the depression sets in about my career and about my craft when I'm eating cookies and eating fast food and not working out. And it's kind of like, okay, this is all connected. So sorry, that was a really long-winded answer, but it is very important to me. And it's been important to me since I was a kid.
Mike and I both care about fitness quite a lot. And one of the things I've done through Drum Mechanics, I've created the Drum Forever Gym membership. It is an online program that every month there are brand new fitness programs, progressive specifically for drummers. There's a studio bodyweight dumbbell program and a gym program that release every single month with specific topics to make sure your body is constantly progressing. And ultimately, you can play the drums forever. And there's warm-up courses, there's experts. I mean, there's really everything you need at a very affordable price to make sure you can do this thing forever. The only membership like it online, the Drum Forever Gym membership. Try 7 days for free by clicking the link below. That's amazing. Well, so let's try and break both those down. And I just love to know what you do. And I know everyone knows it listening that you're not necessarily a fitness or nutrition expert, but truthfully, as someone who has N1'd this experiment on yourself as far as fitness, what you like, what has worked for you in nutrition, I think people need to hear this because they see, I talk to a lot of professional drummers, very high level, and the ones that are not struggling will tell you, I don't drink when I'm on tour, I stretch and exercise every morning, I try and eat well, I get vegetables in, and then the ones who are young and hurting often are the beer drinking, really struggling ones. No, I know as an entrepreneur, someone like yourself, and you have a lot of discipline with the things you do, there's a lot of health practice that you have to have that forward momentum all the time. So from a fitness perspective, what types of exercise and things do you do and works well for you that fits in your routine?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is making sure that there's something that made myself physically in every single day. It doesn't mean no days off. What it means is that like, okay, the day off included paddleboarding on the river for an hour. The day off included some light cycling, more for my mental health than my physical health, but there's no getting around the physical health of I did ride my bike 10 miles out and 10 miles back, and that's a 20-mile ride. I wasn't trying to break a record. I wasn't doing sprints up the hills. I was trying to clear my mind, but in the process, I got some cardiovascular work. I, maybe burned a few extra calories. So I try to do something for my fitness every day. I would say right now, lifting is about 4 days a week. I've had personal trainers virtual personal trainers in the past. And that taught me how to work out. I've done CrossFit in the past. I joined CrossFit specifically to make me better at teaching drum camps because I needed to physically go through something I could not do. Especially I knew, and I hope that your listeners will understand this, but Olympic lifts were something I didn't know anything about. And I knew that I didn't know anything about it. So I couldn't wait to have somebody say, no, I need you to pop your hips. And then that's me saying to a drummer, I need you to use your fingers. And they just say, well, I don't know how to do that. And so I would be trying to do a snatch and they would say, you got to pop your hips. And I'd be like, I don't know where my hips are. Can you point to them, please? I don't know what that means. Yeah. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally like, pop your hips. It's like, well, that makes sense to you because you're a trainer, but I don't know what that means. And I don't know how to generate that momentum or that motion. And so basically I joined CrossFit so that I could be physically put in some very uncomfortable situations with a coach and then say, okay, I need to bring this empathy to the world of drumming when I'm teaching camps and I'm asking somebody, dude, just open the hi-hat on the and of 4. And they're like, 1, I don't know where that is. And 2, how am I supposed to open the hi-hat when I'm pushing down the bass drum pedal? That means I'm going to lift my left leg while my right leg goes down. That's impossible. How am I supposed to, how should my posture be on the throne? So I've done a lot of different physical things in training just to get better at teaching drums. But I would say right now, 3 to 4 lifting days a week, just to put, load on my bone structure. I'm 48 years old. So this is now that time where I'm trying to prepare myself to be 70. I want to make sure that if I want to go see some national parks when I'm 75, I don't have to think about, well, can I walk up that hill or not? And then the other days I'm just doing either paddleboarding or cycling.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I had a quick question because you mentioned at the CrossFit the way that they instructed you how to deal with your body and learn about your body really helped you when you're teaching drummers. Was it the patience that they shared, or was it the way they cued things that helped you think about how you would communicate to campers?
It was a little bit of both. I really lucked out. For those that are listening that haven't done CrossFit, you have to understand that it is such a box by box thing. CrossFit is not great. CrossFit is not bad. The individual place that you're doing it can be bad, and it can still have the CrossFit name, and it can be wonderful, and it can have the CrossFit name. And that was something I came into contact with too, is just even starting it. People would be like, "Oh, CrossFit sucks." And I was like, well, maybe your specific box or gym in this one area did. I really lucked out that the the coach immediately, well, first of all, he was like, you can't even do any of our classes until I've had 2 1-hour sessions with you by yourself. And I was like, amazing. He really took an interest in my body. Then he noticed right away, he literally asked, are you a hockey player? And I was like, wow, you got that wrong. Gosh, no. Not at all. And he was like, do you play drums? And I was like, whoa. I was like, I do play drums. He's like, yeah, you have kind of a hockey players thing where you probably sit forward a lot. Your mobility is really struggling, and you have a hockey player's kind of arch to your back. You're sitting forward a lot. You're going to really struggle with anything with the barbell over your head. So we're going to need to stretch you out. We're going to need to make sure. So then my whole first month was just me and a PVC pipe. And I was really appreciative that he didn't say like, oh, you'll figure it out. It's like, well, what if I don't figure it out? And so that's what I brought to teaching was like, hey, I noticed this isn't happening for your technique. Did you? And I guess if anything, it taught me to ask more questions. Did you break your wrist when you were younger? Have you always had problems moving that arm? Like why is your momentum for your snare hand always coming from the elbow joint and not from the wrist joint? I'm curious, like why you're using so much extra movement that you don't need to use. Why? Instead of just saying, stop moving your arm. So I think, yeah, it taught me a lot more patience and to ask questions and to try to find out the historical significance of that person's life. How did that affect their technique? And a lot of times they didn't know, but they're like, oh yeah, I fell off a roof when I was 6 and I broke my wrist. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's good to know because that is affecting how you move that drumstick now.
Yeah, in fitness, most people don't think about this. And I mean, the way you're saying it, it sounds like you see it now. But if someone says, hey, just go do a squat, the prerequisite motion that's required at the ankle, the knee, and the hip, and the back, and the neck, like you need specific things to be there. And if you're not there with one of those things, the whole thing falls apart. And it sounds like that you're seeing that now. As now, a drum teacher with those eyes, is there a particular thing that you're seeing now with students in the camps that you didn't see before that you learned from exercising?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is patience and letting them know that like sometimes there is me giving you the information saying, okay, this is what I need you to do. This is how you're going to do it. That information isn't enough for them to do it. Sometimes there, like you said, there's so many connective things. So let's say that I had you playing on a pad with just your left hand and I said, okay, we're just playing singles. I need you to use your fingers more. Well, that's a very online thing to say. In person, I would say, oh, we don't have enough momentum for you to even use your fingers. You're going so slow that you can't. That's like trying to bounce a basketball by putting it on the ground and then trying to bounce it from there. You need to throw it down first. There needs to be some momentum, some inertia. So I might then in person be able to tell the student, okay, let's kick up the tempo 20 BPM, and then you can start to use your fingers, and then the momentum will carry from there. So it's really just like you said, like zooming out a little bit and thinking it's trying to really make a big decision between demonstration and education. Am I demonstrating something and calling it teaching? That's just me doing it and then saying, do that. That's demonstrating. That's not education. Education is breaking it down into its finer components and saying, if we put these 4 things together, then we will be able to do a squat or an overhead squat or use our fingers while playing single strokes.
Amazing. I have some particular questions around this for you and your development I want to come back to. But on the second half of this, we're talking about nutrition. How have you, as you're at 48 years old, and I know you were on tour for some time, and what kind of nutritional things have worked really well for you to feel healthy and good in contrast to the cookies you regarded?
Yeah, I do definitely have. I would say that if if everyone has their one thing that they judge the world on, for me, it's a chocolate chip cookie. Like, I will go anywhere in the world and be like, I need to know what your chocolate chip cookie is like. And then I will give it a 1 out of 10. Like, I know right away how I feel about this situation. So I definitely have a bit of a sweet tooth. But I will say, from back in the touring days, one, I've been straight edge my whole life. So I've never had a drop of alcohol in my life. I've never had a drug. I've never had coffee in my life, never tasted coffee. So I've been, and that's not really like a ideological thing. It probably was when I was a teenager and it was just cool to be straight edge. And you got to put X's on your hands and wear
Oh
cool
yeah,
jackets and
I forgot about the
just,
X's. That's right.
yeah, man. Yeah, it's like, I can't get into the club. I'm under 21. Even though I'm over 21, I'm going to act like I'm under 21 so I don't drink. Whatever. So I'm sure it was that when I was younger. But then as I started touring, I just never. I think I was very paranoid of addiction, and I knew I had a pretty addictive personality. So I just thought, like, I just don't want to try anything because I could see myself becoming a coffee connoisseur or a collector of brandies and bourbons. Like, if I'm going to try something, I'm probably going to go all in. So I stayed away from everything that kind of scared me. So never did any of that. Nutrition was kind of, I'm very fortunate that I don't like fried foods. I'm not trying to be healthy. I just don't enjoy them. They make me feel bad. Um, so yeah, I would say food affects the way I feel, and the way I feel affects my appetite and my desire to eat certain foods. So not a big fan of cheeses and dense foods. But definitely during the touring days, I was in my 20s and you could eat anything you wanted and then just literally do a set of push-ups before the show and you'd like lose 2 pounds. Like, it was amazing. It was just, you're just shredded all the time. And then now that I'm older, I would say one of my things that I got from my trainer, especially because I travel so much for drum festivals and clinic tours, is he always tells me, I'm in airports, he would say, find color and protein. That's it. So find any vegetable or fruit that is high in color, red peppers, green peppers, leafy greens, broccoli, and then find a protein source. And if you can find those two things, you're going to be okay. And so I just know what protein does to my appetite and how it just kind of holds me over better. So I'm always trying to start there. And it's not about hitting these specific grams of protein or hitting my macros so that I can build muscle or anything, that even though it helps maintain muscle, it's more about just staying full so I don't binge on a bag of chips or anything like that. But I would say, just to answer your question, like, the biggest thing for me is eating foods that make me feel better, and trying not to let my taste buds get in the way of that, which is tough.
The discipline around food seems to be the hardest thing with all of this. Like, people can find time for exercise to get some exercise snacks in, so to speak. But like, having the fortitude at 10 o'clock at night when you've seen a show to not have that beer, to not eat that hot dog, even though, it's really, really tough. And the thing I see with a lot of
That bowl of
professional touring,
cereal.
yeah, whatever it is, right? And your wife or
Yeah.
your family, someone brings over some cupcakes. You're like, I would never have this, but then they're just there. Like, it's a lot of
Mhm.
fortitude to not put it in your mouth.
It's really tough, man. And I definitely struggle with, especially, like, a good example would be the UK drum show. So at the UK drum show, I have my own room. It's called the Education Room, and we have 4 artists in there each day. I'm one of the artists. So I have my own hour-long performance and then 3 other artists. I'm there, since it's my room, I'm there the whole day from morning of setup until the day is over, and then we do it again Sunday. There's a really good chance I will have breakfast and then I won't have food until 8 p.m. And I'll have missed, in this part of Liverpool, a lot of times I've missed the time that even the restaurants are open. So the only thing that's left is like Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever, or whatever the hotel has. And I'll say, okay, I'll just have a chicken salad, no dressing. Sorry, sir, we don't have the salads. All we have is pizzas left. And it's just like, okay, I haven't eaten all day. I have no willpower. I'm shaking. So one of the things I do is I travel with worst case scenario foods. So I try to have, mostly, I don't want to say whole foods, but natural product bars. So I try to stay away from the protein bars that have 900 ingredients. I will say, are you familiar with the app Yuka?
I'm not, no.
Okay, so the Yuka app has kind of changed my life. Just Yuka, I believe, could be a C. Who knows? Um, But basically, it's just kind of like MyFitnessPal, except for ingredients. So you just scan anything, and it gives you a Yuka score based off of whether it has any harmful additives, harmful ingredients. And so you're looking for the healthiest score, not about calories or about your diet, but like you can even use it for soap, and it will tell you like this has like 19 different chemicals that you should not be putting on your skin, which is going to soak in. So I literally am at every grocery store getting out my Yuka app and I'm scanning everything. So I'll usually go with like an RX bar. Is it RX? Is that the one that's like 4 ingredients or
That's right. Yeah.
anyways. Yeah. So I'll usually go with like, I'll bring like maybe 30 of those in my suitcase. This is for like a week-long trip. And then I always travel with I think it's called Safe Catch tuna packets,
Oh yeah.
chili lime tuna. And so that's my protein intake. And so I'll have like 30 of those packets. And then the big one that I always take is like they look like little pouches for babies, but it's just chia seeds and like natural, like it could be like chia seeds and kiwi. And so the chia seeds seem to do a really good job of taking up some space in your stomach and making you feel a little bit more full. I'm sure there's some fiber involved and stuff too. But yeah, so basically when I travel, I have my worst case scenario. All they have left at the food place is pizza, and I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the hotel. I'm gonna have tuna, a bar, and some chia seeds.
That's perfect, though. I mean, it's good to have those practices in place. It's funny. The Yuka app, my wife has it, and I know this because about
Okay.
6 months ago, I've been getting Old Spice body wash for as long as we've been together. It's been like 13 years. And
Bro,
then
I bet that got a 0.
it was gone, and there was a new black bottle of something. I'm like, what is this? And she goes, it's better for you.
Yes.
Just use it. Deodorant, Old Spice gone, and it's just a new deodorant.
Gone.
Yeah. But it
Totally.
works. It's a great app.
It's crazy, and it's not. What's really wonderful about it is it's not company by company. So you might find like an Aloha bar that you love the taste of, and you love the way they make their bars, but it gets a score of 20 because of the additives. But the chocolate mint flavor doesn't have those additives, and it gets a score of 70. So it's the same calories, it's the same textures that you like, but it's just missing some of the additives that have been shown to like cause cancers or whatever it is. So it's a good thing. And the main thing is when companies are getting really low scores, you get to kind of report the companies, and this is what's causing companies to actually change their ingredients. There's a lot of products I use now that used to get zeros, and they've actually taken some of those harmful chemicals out of their products because of this app. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
By the way, I'm not invested in it. I have nothing to do with it. And when I see people at the grocery store using it, I'm like, I know what you're doing.
That's awesome.
I got you. Yeah.
So taking this a little bit further, because you mentioned when you're on the road, you have some particularly nutritional things that you do. I used to travel for teaching quite a bit, and I knew that if I didn't sleep, I didn't eat well, I didn't exercise in the kind of right order, my mouth didn't work. And the thing that's different for you is your mouth and your body needs to work together to make sure that all the things you're trying to say seamlessly roll out in a great delivery. Besides the nutritional things, what other practices do you have in place when you travel to make sure that you are able to perform at your best, both communicate and physically?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think sleep is luckily becoming so much more widely known that it is almost its own supplement. Like you have to prioritize sleep. It's as important as anything else, as water. And so, as silly as this sounds, my wife and I are okay for our business spending the extra money. Whenever I fly somewhere to perform, I will use my miles, whatever I can do to try to get a business class seat. As bougie as that sounds, it is very important for me to sleep the whole way there. On the way back, I'll be in economy minus. Like, I don't care. I'll sit next to anybody. It doesn't matter, and I'll get no sleep. It's fine. But on the way to a new place where I'm about to experience a massive time change and some jet lag, then the sleep is really important. Having always traveling with a mask so that no matter what the hotel situation is, I can have pure black. So I'm always traveling with a sleep mask. Investing in different sleep masks so that you can find out what's most comfortable for you to sleep in. They're not all created equal. Flying with a sleep mask, really important. I would say also too, since we're, talking to musicians, one of the best things you can do for getting good sleep on a plane is having custom in-ear monitors. You put them in and a baby can be crying next to you and you don't even hear them. And I just put on like the Calm app or put on like maybe a an audiobook about astrophysics, and within 8 seconds I am out, and it's great, and nothing's really going to bother me. So sleep is a huge one for sure. And then also too, I think everybody has their own way of combating jet lag. But for me, the most important thing is just being willing to get there at least a day early to know that it's a real thing. You're going to feel it. There's no getting around it. So I try to make sure that I'm not taking naps during the day, because the nap, when you're jet lagged, turns into sleep, turns into a 2-hour thing, and then you've really thrown off your clock. So I try to adjust the clock. But yeah, the most important thing is, it's kind of like what you said, like get into the new town wherever I am, and then kind of suss out like, okay, I'm in Liverpool. Where is their local grocery store or local market where I can get fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, fill my hotel room with apples and bananas and nectarines? And then where could I get some protein options? I'm traveling with my own, with my chili lime tuna and my salt and pepper tuna. But if I can find a place that's like, okay, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to go here and get a grilled chicken salad, then I know I'm in a good. So it's almost like just kind of figuring out your location, and then yeah, that's kind of it for me.
In about 12 years ago, I was helping a friend of mine in Pittsburgh teach. We were teaching a cadaver lab of all things. It was he was at the hospital, and
Wow.
I was assisting the cadaver lab to go down the biomechanics of the whole thing. So I got there early Pittsburgh morning time. Well, same time. It's Eastern time, I'm pretty sure. But we were there all day.
Sure.
And it smells terrible. Like if anyone's ever done it for whatever reason, I'm sure no drummers here have, but cadavers don't smell good. So I was not hungry all day. And then the class ended at 6, and we spent 2 hours cleaning everything up. It was 8 o'clock on like a Sunday, and nothing was open except I found this one diner. And I was like, the healthiest thing. It's all like bad Italian food, but there's a Caesar salad. And I'm like, great, I'll take the chicken Caesar salad, please. It came with a bunch of fries interlaced into it. So it was fries, lettuce, and chicken. And I was like, I'm trying to be healthy here. And I can't even escape it. Like it was all there. Same color as the chicken too.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, man. I mean, and that's where I think we all have to find a balance. Like balance is key. Going psycho in anything, whether it be a new hobby, for us, maybe it's drums, it never ends well. Finding the balance is the key. And so there, the one thing that I try to make sure with my nutrition that I never bring into things is I never allow myself to inconvenience somebody else because of my desires. So let's say that it's the Meinl dinner and we're going to have a company dinner, and they decide we're going to this Italian pizza restaurant. I would never say I don't eat pizza. It's like, okay, this is the night where it's like, you know what? I want to go have fun. Now what I can do is have 2 slices instead of 10 slices. I can make sure that the second we sit down, I say, can I get a sparkling water? And I just get as much bubbles in my stomach as possible, so I'm not starving. I can ask if they make salads, and if so, can I have the dressing on the side? If they make salads with grilled chicken, they're probably willing to make you just a grilled chicken breast. So it's like, hey, if you could bring that out. The other thing I learned from different cultures was, it seems, and I don't know this to be scientifically fact, so everyone go easy on me, but it seemed that a lot of European cultures almost always start with some sort of vegetable or leafy green, not necessarily salad. It could be just literally asparagus spears. But getting that fiber first seems to activate the microbiomes or something that I don't know enough about, that allows you to get full a little bit faster and eat fewer calories. So I'm generally trying to find some sort of vegetable, even if it is just salad, to eat, to get in my stomach first before anything else. I mean, I'm not going to like bring my own apple cider vinegar to like a pizza restaurant and be doing shots in the back. Yeah, totally. That's what I mean is like, I just, I live in California, and we went through the whole, the vegetarian to vegan craze, but where it was a craze where it was like people just saying like, well, I just can't eat that. And it's like, okay, do we have to leave the restaurant now? Like, this seems I just want to make sure everything's as cool as possible. So, but yeah, I think it just comes down to balance, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nutrition thing is a tough one because, and we don't need to talk about necessarily, but as you know, especially in California where it's quite trendy, the trends between vegetarian, keto, paleo, you name the thing, everything has been really healthy and everything's been really bad for you, and then it's switched back around. So there has to be a point where you can go to a place and not have your social life 100% be derailed because of there's too much carbs in this chicken salad, or something like that, in my opinion.
No, 100%. I mean, that's something that my wife and I go through a lot is the like red wine is bad for you, red wine is good for you. Never eat carbs, only eat carbs. This person's on a all tomato diet, and it's like, look, so far, let's check out the blue zones. They seem to be doing fine. And maybe this, 97-year-old guy who's walking up hills in Italy, maybe he's got something more to teach us than some ripped 22-year-old on Instagram or TikTok. And even on that side of things, like, my wife and I are looking at like, hey, why aren't the algorithms targeting us better, as far as like, stop showing me 20-year-old guys telling me what to do. Like, I looked like that too 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That dude's not putting in any work. That guy just wakes up, and the act of waking up is like me doing 200 crunches. So like, I need the 48 and 55-year-old guy that's saying, look, here's what's happening to your metabolism right now. Here's what's happening to your brain right now. Here's how we can fuel you because I am getting into that part of my life where functional fitness is now everything. Vanity is gone. I don't care what I look like with my shirt on, shirt off. What I care about is, can I just keep maintaining the life that I've had for the past 50 years? That's what's important to me now. And so my nutrition, my matcha, my teas, all of that stuff is based off of longevity and cultures that have proven to have longevity in their society. That's what everything is about for me now.
And as you said, balance. I mean, it sounds like you really have found a balance that works well for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as this is over, I'm going to snort a chocolate chip cookie. I'll just get this straight to the bloodstream.
Boom, right in there.
I'll just
So, okay, so one more travel question, and I don't want, maybe you've answered this one before, but so this is the thing. So like I told you, I've traveled a lot for talking, but traveling to play drums to me sounds absolutely bogus. Like, I've been to a few places, done little clinicky things, a lot of fun, not my drum set. I don't have full autonomy. Things feel a little bit different, even if it's the same sizes. How do you physically, do you have a routine and or system? Because to me, I don't know if you are, but you seem like, in a good way, a bit of a perfectionist. Like, you like to know where things are at and have a little bit of control. I think anyone that runs a business is like that a little bit. You get on a drum set that's not yours. How do you get ownership of this thing enough to feel confident to perform at the level that you want to, so the students have the experience you want them to?
That's a great question. The first thing is relinquishing control. Like, you don't have, let's say that you did have control. You have all the control. They're going to fly in your kit. Everything's yours. You're good to go. And they're going to give you 2 days to set up. It's perfect. But they put you on a rolling riser. And as soon as you hit the first note, everything bounces 3 inches away from you. And it's like, oh, so it will never be what you think it's going to be. So you have to let all that go. And it's just a mind game of, let's say they put me on a janky CB700 kit from the 80s with wrecked drum heads. Does it suck? Or can I reframe it and say, this is funky? And as soon as you do that, then down is cool. Scat doom got to bow, skik it dagajuka. And you start to kind of go like, all right, this is funky. I dig this, man. So it's really, a lot of it is us allowing the good wolf or the bad wolf to win. The bad wolf is going to say, dude, this sucks. Like, we deserve this and we should have this. And then the good wolf is like, dude, you're in Italy playing drums. Shut up, bro. Like, just go play. So it's really leaning into that side of things of like, okay, let's reframe this in a positive light. How fortunate am I to be in this world right now where someone paid me to take a plane to a new country and play drum set? Let's lean into that. And that instantly makes the drum set a little bit better. Then there's traveling with anything that'll bring you comfort. So I will forego all the like luxuries of just being like, oh, when I get there, they'll have all of my gear. I am traveling with my snare drum. My snare drum is no better than anyone else's snare drum, but it's mine. And it's got my nicks on it. It's got my scrapes on it. It's tuned the way I like it. And it's just, I look down at it and I go like, yeah, that's my drum. Okay, that's a little bit of comfort. I don't really care about bass drum pedals at all. I could play it loose, tight, whatever. And then the other thing too is being as communicative with the people as possible. So what would throw you off? And like, we are totally different, but what throws me off is not quality. I couldn't care less whether it's a Catalina club or a USA Custom. sizes will mess me up. So what I will say in my rider is it has to be 20, 12, 14. I couldn't care less if it's salmon sparkle. I couldn't care less if it's, like a Catalina. It could be a $300 kit or it could be a $3,000 kit. Those don't matter to me. But please find me the right sizes. So that's kind of what you try to do through trial and error, of course. So things like that. And then the most important thing also too is sometimes you do have to. I don't think this is like how maybe Thomas Lang or Virgil Donati or Jojo Mayer feel, because they are at they are the ones that have pushed our instrument as far as it can be pushed. But for me, it's about backing off a little bit. I don't get to be me at 100%. There's too many variables that are throwing that off. So I need to be willing to be me at 80 to 85%. And that person's going to play really well on this in these circumstances. The last thing I will say is this is the one thing that I don't see anyone else doing, or at least no one talks about it, but you can practice the discomfort. Change your kit every single day the week before you leave. Lower the snare, angle it differently, raise the throne a bit too much, get used to the variables, crank your bass drum pedal, then loosen it, detune your toms, get used to the variables, and then whatever you might actually show up and it's like, oh, this is better than the crap I've been playing on. So
amazing. Yeah, no, and it's the exposure therapy, I think, really, like that exposure to consistently, like a little bit of discomfort, and then how do I move this forward? So I got one last health question. And I got to be honest, I am always reluctant to ask this one because it's very opinionated, and it's like everyone's got a different way of looking at it. But I mean, you've been doing this entrepreneur business thing for a long time. You're one of the first people to really enter this internet scape. And, we were talking about off the air a little bit, just some of the mechanics of that. How do you mental health wise protect yourself, right? This entrepreneurship, it's like one step forward, two step back sometimes. There's a lot of headaches behind the scene that people don't see and know. You have that one customer of however many that just drives you nuts, and it's hard to deal with. Money problems, legal problems, whatever it is. How do you protect yourself to make sure that Mike Johnston doesn't get absorbed by the business machine?
Yeah, man. It's so cool to even be able to talk about this stuff, because you're right. What am I going to do? Make an Instagram video and be like, woe is me. It's really tough when the invoices come in or whatever. Like, no one cares. But there is a reality to all of this that is, a simple reality would be like, oh, cool, I got a new camera. It only accepts CFast Type A cards that are $600. My memory card for my camera is $600. So just things like that, like no one would care, but those things start to add up, and I would say the biggest thing for me that's protected me against all of this is my wife working for our business full time. So she takes everything, because people never get to see her. She's not an on-camera person. She's not heavily into social media, but anything that's not related to the drums or the exact making of content, it's all her. And so as we were coming up as a couple together, and then we got married and we started our first business, which was called the Drum Lab. And then we sold that and started Mike'sLessons.com. She was working full time, and we were getting to a place where those things that you're speaking of, they were adding up for me to the point that I was going to hire someone to take that off of my shoulders. And I would have just basically taken her income and given that to someone else. Like, I would have paid someone else exactly what she was making. So it was like, why don't you just do this full time? It's a wash, but no one will ever care about our business as much as you do. So I know that the care will be there. So that's a big part of it. The other thing, once again, is balance. I don't let myself work past 2 p.m. without going on the river and paddleboarding, or going down to the river. And so if anybody that doesn't know, my studio is on the American River in Northern California. And so we have a bike trail that goes about 40 miles one way and 40 miles back the other way. That's in my parking lot. It starts in my parking lot. And then we also have a river that from my parking lot, you walk down to the launch where you launch your paddleboards. So I don't really let myself go past 2 p.m. without either cycling or without paddleboarding, just about every day, or at least a long walk. You just have to take a break. The other thing too, that's been something that we're all dealing with right now, is I really make sure that my ratio for what I take from social media is way lower than what I give. So I will put hours into creating content. I'll put hours into answering comments and put hours into pushing my business to the world of social media, but I take very little from it. I don't follow very many drummers. If I do, they're probably all muted because I'm not emotionally stable enough to handle seeing the greatest people in the world all day long. I just can't. It's like, am I supposed to be that good? Like that kid's 12. I can't see that and just go like, yeah, yeah, that's cool. Same thing with the fitness. I can't just see ripped people all day just being like, want to lose 20 pounds in 5 days? It's like, okay, but you didn't lose 20 pounds in 5 days. You've looked like this since you were 15. So that doesn't make any sense. So basically, I just try to take very little from social media and just give more. Because unfortunately, all of us that are entrepreneurs would love to say, dude, just get rid of Instagram, get rid of YouTube. It's like, but I can't. I wouldn't have a business without it. So I have to do it. But it is my choice that after I posted, then I went to the main feed and I stayed there for 20 minutes. That was on me. And that's what I'm trying to eliminate out of my life, because I've never once scrolled through, 10 minutes of feed and felt better. I've always felt worse. So I just try to, like, kind of like we talked about with nutrition, I'm always trying to A/B myself and my own, what I'm going through, and just say, this doesn't make me feel any better, then cut it out, man. It's your choice.
Social media from a health perspective has really become, I mean, I think I've heard you talk about this and many others, but it's become this double-edged sword where, if you got $10 and you put it in a bank, you can put it in a GIC, get 4%, and it just keeps going, right? You don't have to do anything with that. For many drummers now, the opportunities are really based off of who's around you in your town and who's seeing you on the internet. So although there's this discomfort of health and like, I don't like this, I don't want to be on this app for a lot of people. Same with me, like I use it as a vehicle. But I've seen other drummers completely try and step away, and then they're not busy.
Yeah.
They start losing gigs, they start losing opportunities, and it's really tough because it's like it's a $10 that only grows by you literally working for minimum wage every day. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or you make $10 a year. You're going to work for minimum wage forever because it's the same grind pushing forward to hope the algorithm picks you up and the right person sees you, the right customer, and it's just like it's heavy, man. It's really heavy.
It really is, and we're all going through it. And I think, I don't know how old you are, but I feel very fortunate that I was an adult, in my 20s before this world started, and I get to be a part of it as it came into existence, and I'll be here when it becomes what it's going to be. But I at least have the reference to remember life before it, and then, like, when did it make things a little bit better? There's a moment where, oh my gosh, I have a business that did not exist. So Mike'sLessons.com is a business that could not have existed pre-YouTube. Like, there would have been no way to get people to pay for my service. So then at that point, it's like, this is amazing. I created my own career path, like, that I couldn't have done without tech. So I'm a huge fan of tech. I don't think I could have sold out drum camps without being able to reach people and me showing people things on Instagram of my drum camps. Well, that's why people come to these drum camps. So I am in favor of it, but I also just think, like, man, we haven't found a social media balance yet as a society. And then also too, that we, the thing that I'm always trying to help my wife with, since she's not a big person in that world, and she's very casual with social media. Like, oh, I saw this on Instagram. I have to show her, like, hey, just a heads up, that doctor, that's AI, and that doctor is this veterinarian, and this veterinarian is this gynecologist, and this gynecologist is also a professional rower. This is an AI person. This is not real. And she's like, wait, what? But they have the cool cutout thing, and they're using the little mic that they hold in their hand. I'm like, yeah, that's all AI. Like, so that's another thing that I think we have to do right now is, if you are a current entrepreneur and a current creator, this is your time to not double down on the easy way out. You double down on more work, more authenticity, more, this is me. Like I want to make sure no one questions, did he clone himself? Is that a cloned video? Is that an AI voiceover? Like, if you go to my Instagram feed today and go to my stories, you will see that I posted a story of me filming my latest course, because I'm trying to show you the behind the scenes. Like, I am doing this at 6 a.m. This is really happening. And I think we're just in a really, really weird place where you cannot, especially as an entrepreneur, afford to ignore it. But I kind of like it because I feel like this isn't gonna go well, but whatever. Here we go. You ready, B? You ready to do this? Let's get into it. I feel like this is a really, really great time for lazy people to take the easy way out, which will allow the real grinders to put the pedal to the metal and say, okay, you take the easy way out. You make as many AI videos as you want. I'm going to go full on, like I'm going to double down on the work and the authentic work. And really, if anything, I'm going to double down on the care. How can I make this more human than ever while everyone else is trying to make this more AI than ever?
So it's funny.
I don't know that it'll work, but that's where I'm going.
No, you're right. And I think, what's funny is I think every time you've said the word entrepreneur in the last 5-minute segment, I think you could interchange that word for drummer. And the reason why I say that is because musician is every individual person is their own micro brand entrepreneur. And whether you look at Mike or whomever else you might look up to and go, they're on another level, it's all the same staircase. And if you want to get to the top and you want to get the gigs like J-Rod gets with Janet Jackson and all these, you got to put the time in and you have to put the quality in, and people need to see the consistency. And that's what entrepreneurs do. That's what musicians do. That's what fitness people, well, I say career fitness people, like you have to follow that ladder. But you're right. The interesting thing is that, so this whole drum mechanics thing started from me. I told you at the beginning of this, not many people know this. I had a marketing company before drum mechanic stuff really blew up. I was doing drum mechanics with Modern Drummer for a while, and I had one of my students go, well, listen, ChatGPT's here. I don't need to work with you anymore because I can just ChatGPT marketing, and I can just figure out what I need to do for social media, and I can do all my email marketing, so I don't need any consulting. I said, you know what, you're right. I said, but do some posts and let's see how well they go. And he did. He got like 78 views, 15 views. And I said, okay, listen, I'm going to go to this drum thing I haven't touched in a while because I've been busy with this. I'm going to do a post on exercise. I'm going to hit these 3 marks, pain points, and it's going to get a few thousand views. And it got like 20,000 views in like 24 hours. And I was like, you have to put the time in and grind. And it's just showing that you can't rely on a computer to do the hard work for you. It's going to help you with small things. Like, sure, it can write some emails, but it will be your authenticity, your talent, your presence that's going to really help this thing grow into something bigger than you.
I totally agree. And like I said, I mean, I think there's so many ways to leverage the power of it. Like, I'm not against it. Actually, here's a great way. I go to any of, you can use whichever one you want, ChatGPT or whatever, but there's a couple that are very video specific, right? So I might go to one of the ones that's good at creating video. And what I'll do is I'll type in my prompt for very specific prompts of what I want to see. And I'll say, okay, like I'm making a tuning course right now. Please show me a shot of someone tuning a snare drum shot with a 50 mil lens. Let's go with full frame sensor. I want it to be slightly cool in color tone, and I want it to have a modern feel and do a slow push in. These are all things I can accomplish by myself, but I want to see it do it. Now, when it does it, there's a lot of things I left out. I didn't say what the background should be. I didn't say anything. And all of a sudden it does it. And I might even give it a reference of one of my videos. And it has this lamp in the back that I don't have. And I'm like, damn, that warmth looks really good. Let me put a candle over there. And then it's like, oh, not only did it push in, but it also kind of rotated around. Well, I have a parallax slider. Let me put the camera on my slider. I'll do a digital zoom in, but I'll do the parallax around the tuning. So it's like, I'm still going to film it, but sometimes it's kind of my buddy and it's helping me get there, you know? So that I don't mind leveraging the power, but in the end, the work is going to be through us. And I think people will feel that authenticity. And we're already savvy enough to recognize the AI voice clone, like, want to tune your snare drum in 50 seconds, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, this doesn't really hit home. And then I'm sorry, but if I see J-Rod filming with his phone going like, hey, if you guys have been asking about how I get my snare to sound this, let me show you, dude, I'm leaning in. Tell me more. Cause this is real. So I think that we just need to lean into that authenticity and then, kind of, but also, once again, especially as solopreneurs, that's the most important part. When you're doing this by yourself, you are marketing. You're the marketing team on your own. You're everything. So we also need to be paying attention, and you need to be listening to tech podcasts. You need to be paying attention to how is ChatGPT 4 different than 3.2, 3.3? Which one was the super sycophantic one that just no matter what you said, it was like, yeah, you should do that. And it's like, you guys leaned a little too heavy on the sycophantic side of things, and it's complimenting me too much. So all of those things are important to be aware of, because I watched way too many parts of our drum industry go away, honestly, and evaporate because they thought this video thing isn't going to last. Websites aren't going to last. The internet won't. This is a fad. It's like, dude, you should have been paying attention. You really missed out on this. And so we can't afford to not pay attention. But like I said, what lures you in? The idea of doing less work and getting out of doing the hard work, then you're probably not going to last very long either. If instead you think, oh my gosh, my work could be so much better because I could leverage this technology, I could leverage this power, it's like, dude, I'm all in. I think also too, this is really important, especially since you run a gym, but like, if it's kind of hard to explain, but if the power of me as an educator is my collective knowledge of what I've learned on this instrument since I was 5 years old, it's me against, let's say, ChatGPT that's trained on the intelligence of the entire drumming world from the beginning. I have no shot. I lose every time. Me having dinner with a bunch of drummers and talking about our favorite snare drum, no AI can touch that. So lean into the human experience, lean into community, into family, into a handshake over an email. Like, that's where we're going to succeed. And I think that's where people will succeed, is if they kind of know, like, dude, I can't out intellect ChatGPT, but I can notice that you're struggling with this and be like, bro, stand up, give me a hug real quick, and just put my arms around you and be like, ChatGPT is not going to give you a hug. I will. So I think that's kind of where we're headed.
Well, I love this. This is a great conversation. I have one last question I want to ask you today, and I figure we've talked so much about health and business, we should do at least one drum question. And I'm just actually genuinely curious. Well, first of all, this is a random one. Is that a ANF pancake snare on your top shelf back there right now?
Okay, so the pancake is actually right over here. I do have one. It's a 16 by 1. This is a 13 Rude Boy. So this is a 13 by 3, I believe.
Very nice.
Yeah, 13 by 3.
Very nice.
Yeah. Love ANF. I just got their throne. Oh my God. That is something
Very
special.
Nice. They have a unique vibe for sure, man. I have the 6.5 brass 14. It's just
the raw
so
brass.
Good. Yeah, it still sounds so good.
Yeah.
So my drum
incredible.
question for you is, let's say you're working on a new thing, whatever it may be, a new groove, a new practice method, and you find that your right foot is getting tired. Your left hand is just physically getting tired, and you can't even achieve the thing you want to do, not because of the musicality or technical, it's just your body physically can't do it. How do you approach handling a particular weakness, like I can't do this with my hand or my foot or whatever it may be?
Yeah. One, I think realizing that we're all individuals is super important. That is one thing that drives me crazy about education, is when I hear like absolutes, like, this is how it's done. It's like, whoa. That's how it's done for you. Let's kind of just ease up on that. So all I can tell you is my perspective and what I've A/B tested with my body. So my first thing is basically where you started, which is I have to figure out, what is the problem? Is it mental or physical? So I call it pattern speed versus raw speed. Pattern speed is my brain can't remember the thing quickly enough, or it's thinking too much about it. And the pattern is actually what's making me slow. So let's say that the pattern itself involves some double strokes, and I know for a fact my doubles are at 240, but I can't do this thing faster than 190, then I know it's a brain issue, not a physical issue. If, let's say, it's a quick jazz let's just say the jazz ride pattern in Cherokee. So ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding. It's at about 3,000. I was going to say 300 BPM, but I think it's 3,000 BPM. It's so fast. No matter what version of Cherokee you look up on Spotify, it's at 3,000 BPM. So let's say I physically can't do it. So I have to go ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, jigga, ding, 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 ding. But I want to play a jazz ride through the whole thing. For me, the thing that has worked the best is not burning out and failing, like 100% fail, 100% fail. It's staying at 85 to 90 for a much longer period of time. So I don't get to play the song yet, but I put on the metronome. Let's say it is 300 BPM, put the metronome on at 260, and I try to play like that for like 10 minutes. But the whole time I'm doing it, I have to be analyzing my technique. What is happening here? Is there anything physically that I'm doing that is slowing this down? Is there anything physically I'm doing that I don't need to be doing? So it's kind of like, basically doing a mindfulness meditation exercise where I'll start as I'm playing ding chicka ding chicka ding chicka ding. I start with my forehead. Is it crinkled? If so, relax the forehead. Then I go to my eyes, then my nose, then my chin. Is my jaw clenched? How many muscles are involved in this thing right now that have nothing to do with my hand? And then I go down to my shoulders and my chest and my triceps and all the way down my core and then even my thighs. And it's like relax everything except for what needs to be engaged. And you're the expert. I know nothing about this stuff, but I honestly, in my mind, I'm like, that'll give me more oxygen to the muscles that need it because everybody else was taking up all the oxygen. So I kind of go through that. And then, yeah, it really is a technique thing, but it's not about like molar or anything like that or push pull. It's what is happening to this stick that is, getting in the way of the stick doing more work. Because if I'm doing all the work, I've clearly maxed myself out. So what are your opinions on that? Like, what would you do? Is it about pushing to failure constantly?
It's a good question. So, I mean, it gets a little, so there's this idea of how the body operates as a system where everything is interconnected. One of my colleagues calls it biomotor configurationalism, which is a big word salad for it all works together. But if you're trying to connect
Sure.
a bunch of things together and my one hand isn't working, like I think the wording you said, pattern speed versus raw speed, is a really
Yeah.
great idea. In my practice, what we try to do is we try to isolate, well, what is the one thing that is not operating well? And if it's necessary, a lot of double bass drummers, you see this right now because they're all struggling with like left foot stuff, is if you can isolate that one appendage and figure out what it is about that one appendage that's not operating. And I hate to say it, it's not a sexy thing at all, but you need to spend time with that one hand, that one foot, and really, can you do single strokes? Can you switch between eighth note triplets and then just eighth notes? Do you have that organization? Because if you can't do it in isolation, when you connect it with another piece of the system, there's no way that it's going to work. There will always be a weak link in the system. And then there's the question of, is it a technical thing? Like, is my foot not moving the way that I want it to? Or is it that my muscles are just physically not able to actually operate? They're getting tired too soon.
Yeah.
So that way I can't do the thing. And so I think like what you said is actually a really good thing to do. Like the paying attention to what your body feels like is the best assessment. Because if you're sitting there and you're playing double bass or single strokes with your hand and your left arm starts to fall apart, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not tired anywhere, but my fingers are doing this weird thing, it's more of a technical thing. Then once you get the technique, and you're like, well, now it's burning here. Well, the nice thing is you can go, okay, great. Why don't we just isolate this muscle, build up the strength in this motor? Because if it's just the one cylinder of the V8, you can fix that up and put it back in and then start building up. But I think the most important part, besides the mechanics of it, is you can science it as much as you can. It ultimately comes back to self-assessment. Or having someone watch you, like a great teacher like you, or paying attention to what it feels like. Because if you can't feel that this is different than this side, it doesn't really make sense. Like you won't be able to create an exercise to try and get out of that.
Yeah, I've always called that the teacher versus the student. So your teacher would be the limb that you feel comfortable with. Your student is the limb you don't feel comfortable with. So I would always get a mirror in front of me, or if it was double bass, I would be paying attention to the teacher side, which would be my right foot, and be like, what is the teacher doing that the student isn't? And especially when it was hands, you would always notice like, oh, okay, so I'm more French on my right hand, but my left hand's a little more German. So the teacher is in French grip, the student's in German. Let me just kind of rotate out a little bit. Maybe my elbow is way too far out on my left hand. Let me tuck it in towards my rib cage. So there's a lot of things you can do. And then the other teacher could just be your favorite drummer that has great technique. And the thing, and stop watching the drumming, like hell, put it on mute and just think like, how close are their elbows to their rib cage? I see a lot of people that sit too close to the kit and their elbows are almost behind their rib cage. And I'm like, oh man, you need to get out a little bit. And then they sit too far away. Now they're engaging their shoulders just to hold their arms up. I'm like, okay, that's not it either. So you can find a lot if you find someone that has, I would assume in your world you deal with a lot of posture stuff, but from away from that side of it, there's a fluidity that we notice in great players. That fluidity is kind of all the way back to the beginning of our conversation. You can be physically out of shape and still be in great drum shape because you're fluid on the instrument. You're not putting any stress on your body. And it's like that speed is coming from the fluidity. So sometimes you just have to look at someone else and go, wow, okay, so I'm sitting really low compared to that person that's very fluid on the instrument. Or I sit on a bar stool compared to this person. And especially too, ask questions like, well, how tall is that person? Oh, 5'6". Well, you're 6'2". So you don't really get to do an A/B comparison. You kind of have to find almost like your little doppelganger and be like, okay, I like the way that, you know, person plays the instrument. I think Annika is one of the best examples of a fluid drummer. When she plays, everything just looks effortless. She never looks like she's putting in a ton of effort, no matter how fast she's playing. So if you're somebody that's around her same height and same build, you can kind of be like, okay, how close is she to the kit? How flat are her toms? How high is her ride? How high are her hi-hats compared to her snare drum? You know, like when I do drum festivals, I'm always, I mean, it's probably illegal. I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm always going around to like, oh, Dennis Chambers' kit is here. I'm going to go put my stick on, you know, upwards on his snare drum and measure how high are his hi-hats from his snare drum. And like, oh man, it hits the V of the Vic Firth logo. Dang, you know. And then I go to Travis Barker's kit and I'm like, oh my God, it hits the tip of the stick. Like his hi-hats are super high and he's playing this way. So yeah, but the big thing that I think we can kind of boil it all down to is you just have to pay attention and honestly always be looking for forward momentum in yourself through fluidity and through ease. If this instrument is physically difficult for you, then you need to work on your technique in general, you know.
On this point, I made a mistake on the weekend. I was just recording some triplet double bass thing I was messing around with. I had my phone on cinematic mode, the iPhone, and I come back to check it and I had it on time lapse. And first of all, I had like an immediate rage because I nailed it and it felt so good. And then I was watching it and I was like, oh, I can actually see everything that I'm doing. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my thumb? Like it was just like,
I don't remember doing that. I didn't do that. Yeah, so that's an artifact.
It was the best but worst thing I've ever done because I saw all these things I was doing. I was like, I didn't know. But it was a really cool thing. Like I think everyone should record a couple licks of them doing time lapse because you'll see, wait, your thumb's doing that? Like what? But you didn't really know.
Absolutely. And back to the teacher student thing, you might find out that your right hand is doing it and your left hand isn't. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, okay. So that's another separation between my strong hand or my dominant hand and my weak hand. So, you know, but also this goes back to what you said about us all being on the same ladder. I think what's really important for drummers to know, no matter where they are in the timeline of their journey, is we are all always going through the exact same thing all the time. There's never a time where any pro drummer is sitting down at the kit and be like, I don't need to get any better. I'm kind of crushing it. God, I'm good. Everyone is constantly being like, how could I be more fluid on the kit? How could I put in less effort, physically less effort, and just make this as fluid and great as possible? So,
Mike, I have to say thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy person and you value your time, but this was just an absolute blast. I really appreciate all your perspective. And we did not talk about half the things I wanted, but I'm so stoked on it.
We'll do part 2 in a year from now. And brother, it was just awesome to finally chat with you in a long form content like this, but also just to be talking about things that I never get a chance to really talk about. So thank you for having great questions, man.
Thank you so much, Mike. Well, have a great day and enjoy your paddleboard today.
Later, brother.